Hi, so today I'll be doing the trunk impairment scale. And just to have my notes up here with me, I have them up. So as you'll be seeing in the video, it's a three-stage test. You have a static, dynamic, and coordination portion to the test. The test in general is often done to assess the motor impairment of an individual post-stroke. And also done if the patient is not able to stand yet, so the therapist can evaluate where the patient's at so they can incorporate some treatment into their plan of care. So the score ranges from 0 to 23. The cutoff score is less than 14 points, and it's used to determine if the patient is less likely to be ambulatory. The starting position for all these tests are the same. They're just sitting on the edge of the bed with their feet on the ground, their hips at 90 degrees. The table that you'll see in the video in a second is not at 90 degrees just because it's a little bit higher, and I explain that in the video when I'm doing the test. And then if a patient scores a 0 for any item, the next trial is scored as a 0 as well. And you'll see that in the video too. So first we start with a static sitting balance for 10 seconds. That is scored if the patient can hold themselves up and not fall over. And then So the first test we do is a static sitting balance. Their starting position is in sitting, just like I said, and then they are tasked to maintain that position for 10 seconds. If they're able to, then it's a score of 2. Next, you as the PT cross the involved leg over the uninvolved leg. The unaffected leg over the affected leg. If they're able to sit there for 10 seconds without any upper arm support, then they are good. They get a score of 2. Next, you do the unaffected leg over the hemiparetic side. If their trunk displaces more than 10 centimeters or if they use their hands, then the score is a 1 or 2. And then a 3 is if they are able to do it actively without any assistance. Then we move into dynamic sitting balance. So you ask the patient to move their elbow to the table. And again, for the other side, again, if the person does not score, if the person's not able to do it in the first place, or they fall, then you do not do the second and third trial of it. The second trial is done and you're just looking for adequate shortening and lengthening of the trunk on each side. And then you are also looking for compensations. So if they're using their arms, if they are abducting their contralateral hip, if they're flexing their hip, if their knees are flexing, or if their feet are sliding on the floor, that is when it is done. That's when the score is given a 0. And then you have the patient work on their pelvis moving. So first they lift their pelvis from the bed on the affected side, and you're looking for adequate shortening and lengthening. This test in particular is only repeated once. So you are just looking to see if they can actually move their pelvis off the table, if they're using their upper extremity, if they're pushing off with the ipsilateral foot. So you're looking to see if the heel loses contact with the ground. And then you just repeat it on the other side. And then the last thing you do, and that is scored out of 10. If they receive 10 out of 10, then they are good. And then for the last one is a coordination testing. So here you're having the patient cross their arms, moving their shoulders back and forth. You have the patient always start with the hemiparetic side, moving the shoulder forward. You count for them. You have them do 3 on each side, so a total of 6 times. If the movement is if they can't do it at all, then you don't repeat the test with the timed score, because obviously they can't do the timed score if they can't do it in the first place. So if their rotation is symmetrical, then you give them a 2. If it is asymmetrical, then you give them a 1. And then you do it for time. So you have them try to get 1 per second, 1 movement per second. And then you're just looking here for symmetricality. So if it's symmetrical, then they receive a 1. Next, you do their lower trunk movement. So you have them just move their knees out in front of each other, and you'll see it in the video as well. So you're just looking for symmetrical rotation. If the person's able to do it first, then you can move on to doing it within the 6 seconds. But again, if they cannot do it in the first place, then you're not going to time it, and that automatically becomes a 0. Here you can receive a max score of 6. So if the patient is able to do all of these completely with the max scores, it is out of 23. Again, if they can't do the maximum score, less than 14 indicates that the patient is less likely to be ambulatory. So yeah, thank you.
So, hi, my name's Lauren. I'll be your PT today. So you had a stroke. Can you tell me which side you had it on?
I know this side's weak.
Okay, so you had it on the right side. So basically what we're gonna do here is I just have to make sure that your trunk is stable enough to do activities. So the first thing we're gonna do is just sitting here. So basically it's just, I'll be just with you sitting, and just don't fall over. And you'll just be able to hold it for 10 seconds, okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right, don't fall over.
I will do my best.
Good. Okay, so she would receive a score of 2 for this because she was able to maintain that position for the full 10 seconds. If she fell, or if she wasn't able to maintain it without putting her arms behind her, then she would get a 0. So for this one, what we're going to do is cross the uninvolved side over the involved side. If she has to reach out behind her, or if she can't hold it for 10 seconds, then, or if she falls, then it would not receive a score of 2. So I'm going to be on this side. Basically what I'm going to do is cross her leg over and just make sure she can sit here. I would keep hold of her. I wouldn't let her go for the 10 seconds. Okay. So she receives a score of 2 because she is able to maintain that position. The next one is I'm going to have her move her unaffected side over her affected side, and she's just going to have to do it herself. Her body can't move more than 10 centimeters. If she falls, or if she has to grab out for something, she would score 1. If she does move more than 10 centimeters, then she would score 2. And then if she's able to just, do it without falling, then she receives a 3. So go ahead and Anna, move that leg over. Good. And you can go ahead and move it back. And that's that. So the next test we're going to do is for you to take your elbow and then try to bring it to the bed. And then obviously, don't fall, but I'll be holding on to you just in case you do. So you're just gonna go ahead and try to shorten this side of your trunk and lengthen this side of your trunk. Bring your elbow to the table. Good, now back up. Good. Okay, if she wasn't able to do that, then she would automatically get a 0 for number 2 and 3 of this test, but since she was able to do it, we're gonna go ahead and do it one more time. So go ahead. Good, back up. All right, one more. Good, now back up. Okay, so we did it on one arm, so now we're just gonna go ahead and do it on the other one. It's the same rules apply here, so if she wasn't able to do it once on the uninvolved side, then automatically the second and third trial would be discontinued and get a 0. So go ahead and shorten this side, lengthen this side. Good, and back up. Awesome, okay, do it again. Good, and one more time. Good, so she would get all the points for that scoring. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to lift your pelvis off the table. So basically what that looks like, so as part of this test, I am allowed to demonstrate for you. So what it's going to do is you're going to keep both feet on the ground the whole time. You're not going to use your arms, and you're just going to lift your booty off the table. And then we're just going to try to do it one more time. And then other side, lift your booty off the table. It's kind of hard on this table. If we were in the clinic or in a hospital when we'd be doing this, I would make sure her hips are at 90 degrees, but due to our table, they have to be a little bit more extended. So, okay, so go ahead and try to lift this hip off the table without falling, without using your arms, without the leg. Good, come back down. All right, so since she was able to do that, we can go ahead and do it again. Good, and come back down. All right, so now we're just gonna go ahead and do it on the other side. Good, and because she's able to shorten the side that she wants to shorten, that's perfect, just seeing everything that's supposed to be doing. So go ahead and do it one more time. Good, come back down, awesome. Okay, so now we're going to do some rotational movement. So go ahead and cross your arms over your chest. So now what we're going to be measuring and looking at is your upper chest rotation. So basically you're just gonna have your arms over your chest and moving your weak side first. Try to do it 3 times on each side, and I'll count it out for you, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. So she would receive the highest score here because it was symmetrical and it was, able to be completed 6 times. So now what we're gonna do is do the exact same thing, but this time you have to do that many in 6 seconds. Okay, so go ahead and I'll just count it out. All right, and go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, perfect. So that was good. So she would receive all scores on that one, and it's the same amount of scoring. So if it's symmetrical, then that's what we're looking for. If she's able to do it within 6 seconds, then that's great. So now what we're gonna do is your lower trunk movement. So it's the same sort of deal, but now you're looking for your knees to go forward instead of your shoulders. So you'll start with your weak side first. So you're gonna be rotating your trunk so your knees will pop out in front of each other, okay?
Okay.
Make sure your legs don't come off of the ground. Make sure you're going same side each side, and just try to do 6 like last time, okay?
Okay.
All right, go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Okay, so now she was able to do all 6. They were symmetrical. Her feet didn't come off the floor. She didn't compensate, so that would receive the highest score. And so now what we're gonna do is the same thing like before, except it's just in a time limit. So now we're gonna do the same thing in 6 seconds. So go ahead and I'll count off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. So she would receive the high score there as well.